Here's the homework. Let's see if any of it has stuck. I started with the very last exercise, rather than the first one, because I want you to see how this all works together before we do any more. So, suppose I come in with this scenario. They're going to buy a machine. It's going to cost $480,000. It's going to have $20,000 salvage. And this right here is going to be the sales for that product or for that machine with all of the expenses laid out. It has a 30% income tax, and they're going to use straight line depreciation for the machine. Now what you have to do is create an income statement right here to find before you can do anything. So here's your sales. Here are all of the expenses they gave you from above. Here's the depreciation. It's $480,000 minus $20,000 gives us $460,000 to be depreciated over 4 years. So that's $115,000. So we have total expenses right here of $1,763,000. So we have an income before taxes of $77,000. Then we'll take that 30% and find out what the taxes are. And then we have after tax income of $53,900. Now I'm going to go ahead and add depreciation back in so I can get the net cash flow, because we took the depreciation out up here so I could get the taxes here. But now I want to add it back in because there's no cash involved with the depreciation, and that adds to the cash flow. So we have for each 4 years a cash flow of $168,900. Now, what you want to do is figure out what its net present value is. Actually, first of all, you want to decide, do you want to do this? And how you're going to decide if it's profitable or not is you're going to do a payback period. You're going to do an accounting rate of return, and then you're going to do a present value. I've also done an IRR on it. So, having all of these calculations now, it's just a matter of manipulating the numbers. So first of all, let's do the accounting return. So my initial cost is $480,000, right? Oh, I'm sorry. This is the payback period. Whoops. We're going to do a payback period. So my initial investment is $480,000. I have a cash flow of $168,900 from here. And I just divide that into there because it's even cash flow, okay? And I come up with 2.84 years. That's how long it's going to take before I start getting payback from it. Then they ask us to do an accounting rate of return. And that is the net income after tax, $53,900, divided by the average annual average investment. So I take that 480, which was the beginning total, and the 20,000, which is the salvage, and divide that, add them together, divide that in two, and come up with an average investment of $250,000. That is divided into the net income, and I come up with an accounting rate of return of 22%. So far this is looking good, especially if our benchmark here for payback periods is something like 4 years. So, this is looking good. What I haven't really looked at yet, though, as I look at this, is I don't know the present value of all of this. So now we're going to have to, these two figures look good. This is over probably the hurdle rate. Remember the hurdle rate, where what is our absolute rate of return that we need? 22% is a good return, so I would assume it's over the hurdle rate. Now, let's do a present value and make sure that it is going to return as well as we think it is. So to do a present value on this one, it's going to be a little bit different than the other ones. We have even payments here. So now we can use Table 4 right here. And we're looking at, because this is a steady stream of even payments, so we're looking at 4 years at 10%, I believe, and that comes up with this number 3.1687. Let's see if I've got that right. Oh, it must be for 4 years at, what is its rate? What is the rate? Oh, come on. Somewhere there's a rate. Somewhere there has to be a rate. Oh, 7%. Okay, I thought I was missing things. Okay, so now let's go look at Table 4. 4 years at 7% comes up with 3.3872. That is our factor, and that's what we've got, 3.3872. There's our factor for the annuity, and then we're going to look at the residual, because we're going to get that back. So the residual comes out of Table 2. And that's going to be 4 years at 7%, and that comes up to 0.7629. And that's what we have here. Now we're just going to multiply these out. We have 572,098 and 15,258. Add them together. That gives us our present value of the cash flows. But we have to deduct what we paid out, right, at $480,000. So we have a net present value of $107,356. I can also do that net present value calculation, or using the function, and it comes out $2 off. Again, this is much easier and much quicker, simply because you can select a row that looks just like this when you set it up, equal NPV, parentheses, first thing is 0.07 rate, and then I'm just going to grab these right here, close it with the parentheses, and subtract that 480, and I come up with a gosh darn great big long number, but we're going to make that go away real quick. There you go. And so here's the long way of doing it by hand, so you understand where the numbers come from, and this is the Excel way of doing it. Then I also did an IRR, and the IRR is the internal rate of return, and that came up to 16%. This looks like a very positive project to do. So I wanted to just show you how you use all of these. Here's your payback, here's your accounting rate of return, and here would be your present value calculations, along with your IRR. You can do all of them in about 3 minutes, I mean, if it's as simple of a project. So that's how it all comes together. So let's look at the very first one. And the very first one talks about, guess what? It talks about the present value thing again. So now we have uneven cash flows, so you're going to use Table 2 to come up with these factors. You're going to multiply them out to here. You'll come up with a positive cash flow here. You're going to deduct the outlay, how much it cost, and end up with a positive net present value. Again, you can use the function, the NPV, through Excel, or you can use this one over here. And you're going to do the same thing for this. Now note, these numbers are going to be the same for down here because you have the same scenario of 3 years at 12%. And obviously you're going to pick the one with the highest NPV. Now, the next one we look at is, again, only this one has a quirk to it. Do you notice? This is a negative one. So you're going to, I think you have 3 of them to do, and I have 3 little tables here. You're going to figure out which one would be best as you go through these. So you kind of get a good idea of how to do net present values. First one is going to be a negative. Second one is also going to be a negative. And I don't know what your third one's going to be. So I'll let you set those up and you come up with the answers, okay? Anything that has an uneven cash flow, you're going to use that. You're going to use the lump sum. In fact, I just use lump sum for all of these. It would be just as easy. So email if you have trouble with this one. Let's look at 23. 23 is interesting because I haven't shown you this. This is your break-even, your payback period. And it has even cash flows. I think it's 4 years, 5 years. 5 years at $35,000 a year. So this one was really easy for the payback. You just took 90,000 divided by 35 and found out, oh geez, it's going to be paid back in almost 2.5 years. Now this is great. What if your payback period has to be under 4 years? Well, you'd say that's great and go with it. But there's another way of doing this. If you look at this and say, okay, I can do payback period, but I want to do payback period on present value. So then you're going to lay these out on present value for each year. You have to do these each year. You also have to use the lump sum, which is table 2, to get your factors. So this is going to be 5 periods for 10%. And these are your factors. Multiply those out. This becomes your present value of all these returns. And then as you multiply them out, you deduct that from what you paid out until you get to where you've totally paid off that $90,000. Now what's kind of interesting here, this is 1, 2, 3, and it goes positive at the tail end of year 3 and right into year 4. So now what would happen if this were a 3-year break and we said, okay, anything under 3 years will do? Well, you look at this, you say, yeah, I'll go with that. But when you break this down and do it in present value, okay, you're going to go into the 4th year almost. So you wouldn't want to do this project. Both of these projects are the same. Only one is using the very easy payback. The other is using the break-even payback. Now when you break it down, break-even payback, you find out that it's over your 3-year benchmark. Kind of an interesting, I really like this one. Of all of them, I think it really gives you a good idea of what's going on with the project. So that is the homework for Chapter 24. So I'll wrap this up and see you in class on Monday. Have a good day.